So as we start here with looking at ethnic religions, something to think about is, wait a second, Hinduism, mostly India. I'll show you the percentage here in a second. What's going on here in the northern part of South America? Well, guess what? It was migration that moved Hinduism to the northern part of South America, and what is still very much minor, but a very much minority part of the religion, but as a whole, it does show a little bit there. So very similar to what we saw with universal religions, for ethnic religions, same principle that I want you to understand their beliefs, but the more important part is the effect on the cultural landscape, whether that's holidays, Passover, Yom Kippur, the different Hindi ones, or whether that is pilgrimages, Ganges River being a major spot in Hinduism. This is the more important stuff. What is the cultural landscape impact? Why is the Ganges River so polluted, so important? Because, well, Hindus go there for pilgrimages, and the fact that it's polluted provides an issue because it's also a major source of drinking water for the country. How about the fact that there's no beef, and our Hindus don't eat beef, and that causes cows because cows are sacred in India? Or how about the fact, what is the impact of the fact, is Hinduism monotheistic or polytheistic? It really depends on who you ask with that. And so you need to understand kind of some of the basic beliefs. Yes, Judaism traces its roots back to Abraham, so does Christianity, so does Islam. But as a whole, what are some of the more just cultural landscape impacts? And so let's look at a couple things. First of all, Hinduism is the third largest religion in the world, about 1 billion people, almost all of them in India, 97% you can see there. And that's because Hinduism is also directly tied to the land in India. Ganges River to go back, or Varanasi, which is right here, one of the 7 sacred sites of Hinduism. You can see up here, anything in the triangles or the circles are religiously sacred places for the Hindus. And so that gets to be really important because it's really, can you be a Hindu not in India or Pakistan or Nepal? Yes, but it gets to be really difficult because of the pilgrimages are so important to Hinduism. And so when looking at these ethnic faiths, most ethnic faiths have not traveled a long ways away from their hearths, Hinduism being India. But one of the things here to note is Judaism is an exception to the rule. This is wholly a part of the celebration of rebirth in Hinduism. But let's look at Judaism here. And Judaism is being an ethnic tradition, but has a lot of the same characteristics as universals. And so, if you wanted to call it universal, I wouldn't argue with you, but it does share more characteristics of ethnic, and that is, it is close to the hearth. It is primarily moved through relocation diffusion. So you think about, I mean, these are movements of people between 1910 and 2010, and also the deaths of people with the Holocaust. But you're looking at the fact that the Jewish diasporas is why the Jews moved away from Israel. And then you're looking at the creation of Israel, the state of Israel in the late 1940s, and that creates the state there. And so Jews move back. And so you're looking here at, and just Zionism as a whole. And so Judaism as an effect, well, it's relocation diffusion. And also the Jewish calendar is tied to the agricultural cycles of Israel. As a whole, Judaism does not fit the fact that it is really the only ethnic faith where it is worldwide as a whole. So let's look at a couple of more smaller faiths as a whole. And the first two here, Sikhism and Baha'i, are both universal faiths. Sikhism, northwestern part of India, the Punjab region. It's a syncretic religion between Hindu and Islam, and creation based on equality for the Sikhs as a rejection of Hinduism. Baha'i was in the mid 1800s. In modern day Iran, you will see these temples all over the world. The most closest one to us is in Chicago. Here it is. This is the one in Chicago, the Lotus Temple. I'm sorry, this is the one in Delhi. This is the one in Delhi, not the one in Chicago. And they are, Baha'i believes in more unitary, and that all religions take some aspects of all religion and combine them together. AP Board loves Shintoism, which is the state religion of Japan. It is very much an ethnic Japanese religion. that inanimate objects and natural events have spirits, and just the rocks have spirits, very much ethnic, very much tied to the the physical landscape of a place, and that spirits and talking um, with the different spirits that kind of rule an area are definitely a part of life. And that is on the decline throughout Africa, where in 1900, pre really extensive European control, that was dominant. And nowadays, in the northern part of Africa, you see predominantly Islam, and in the southern part, you see Christianity. Although you definitely do see syncretic blends of Christianity and Islam in different parts of Africa. So to end here with this lecture, we just need to touch on quick just the rise of atheism and secularism, the indifference or rejection of organized religions, and this is something definitely on the rise in Europe and then also on the rise in America, where just the rejection of a god or a godlike figure, and this would also be where agnostics would fit, the belief that a god exists but has nothing to do with the earth, and so what you're looking at is. This has also changed the cultural landscape because let's take the United States, for instance, which has Christian roots in basically many of its settlements. And what you're looking at is the fact a long time, many stores weren't open on Sunday. Well, now stores are open on Sunday. And part of that is this. Why aren't car dealerships open on Sunday? You can actually trace that back to Christianity as well, and Sunday being the day of rest in Christianity. While secularism has been on the rise in church attendance and religious attendance as a whole been on the decline in America, you'll see Europe here has definitely percentage of people believe that there is a God, and so over 90% here. But then when you get into some other places, Europe is definitely a place where religion is not as important as it was a couple centuries ago. And it's one of the reasons that religious maps drive me a little nuts because if this is true, okay, then if I go back to my map, I'll show you. If I go back to my religious map of Europe, there's definitely some contradiction between the two. Get there eventually here. Wasn't planning to do this, obviously. Oops, there we go. If you look at the religious map of Europe, it looks like everybody's Christian. Well, that's not true. I mean, Christianity is the dominant religion, but the rise of atheism and secularism in Europe have definitely play a role as well. And so, with all the religions we've looked at, I want you to know the base beliefs, but as a whole, you need to understand how the cultural landscape has changed because of the religion.